there, Chris.
Maybe so.
Congressman, you were on a phone call with Governor J.B. Pritzker and other congressmen a couple of days ago. Tell us about that conversation and also characterize it if you could. The governor said it was a good call.
Well, the call covered a lot of different things. We had the entire Illinois congressional delegation, Republicans and Democrats, on the call, and we talked about testing. We talked about, obviously downstate Illinois, and really what I wanted to get across to the governor was we want him to reconsider and rethink how he is treating the stay-at-home order, the shelter-in-place for downstate Illinois. The district that I'm fortunate enough to represent, I border Iowa and Missouri. The 710,000 people that I represent are there's a restlessness and an anger out there. And I wanted the governor to know that firsthand, that there are people out there that have been respectful. They've been obedient. They've followed what the governor and the CDC guidelines have. Downstate Illinois is not the same as Chicago. We haven't had the infection rates, the cases that Chicago has had. And we are looking for a more balanced and a measured approach to opening up downstate Illinois.
So was there anybody that jumped off the call, that protested during the call? What was the tenor like?
Well, listen, that was one topic. The governor listened. And also, I tried to explain to the governor, I have a number of Democrat mayors in my district, so this is not a partisan issue. This is more of a regional issue. And the governor listened, which I thought was good. And what I tried to say also is, for instance, Quincy, Illinois. It borders Missouri. It's a wonderful community. Their community has put together a very substantive plan, but they did it based on medical evidence, scientific evidence. The public health director for the county, the hospitals there were involved. And I know the governor keeps talking about, we want to base this on medical evidence. Well, they've done that. And the fact that you can go across the river to Missouri and be under a totally different situation, and how that affects businesses and people. And we don't believe the one-size-fits-all approach for the entire state is the right way to go. There needs to be a recognition that downstate is not the same as Chicago. Remember, 75% of the state of Illinois is farmland. It's rural America. And so we pressed upon the governor to rethink this, to reconsider that, and we're hopeful that he'll do that.
Congressman Darren LaHood is with us on News Talk 94.7 and 970 WMAY. Congressman, let's talk about that approach. It seems to be getting more political, and at least for Greg and I, it's really been tough to try and to separate the Republican-Democrat thing and all of this and try to get to the common sense, so to speak. Isn't there a balance that has to be achieved here between how much our economy can take and how safe we need to keep ourselves?
Well, exactly. I mean, we keep talking about stimulus packages. The biggest stimulus package is people working and getting back to making a livelihood. And while the coronavirus may kill and may hurt people, poverty kills also. And I mentioned that to the governor. People not getting a paycheck, people not working, we're going to have more problems on our hands than we know what to do with now if we keep that going. The other thing that's a bit frustrating is you look at these other states that are moving towards a tiered approach, a phased approach, Missouri, Iowa, Ohio, Michigan, where they're doing exactly what we need to do in Illinois. And the fact that we're treating Cairo, Illinois, the same as Chicago is just not the right approach. Remember, our district that I represent is much more like Iowa and Missouri and Nebraska than it is Chicago, and we are a diverse we are a multifaceted state and need to be treated accordingly. The last point that I would make is that in Chicago, you have the congregate living facilities, you have the densely populated area. We don't have that in downstate. And so I don't want this to be political. I want it to be more regional. And I think that's what we tried to express to him. But you are right. There is a growing restlessness. There's an anxiety. There's a stress out there. But I would just say that, again, Democrat mayors in my district, the Democrat mayor of Canton, the Democrat mayor of Chillicothe. I mean, I don't want to get into, politics on this, but there's a lot of Democrat mayors that want the governor to open up downstate Illinois.
Congressman Darren LaHood joins us with News Talk 94.7 and 970 WMAY. Close to your district, and I'm not sure if Woodford County is directly in your district, but it's in that area. You've got a state's attorney there who is ultimately saying that he's not going to enforce this, and you've got businesses in that district who are ready to open. There's an antique store that's getting ready to open. What does that say to you? Is the governor's edict here enforceable in a place like Woodford County, or where Sheriff in Tazewell County and Kankakee County and Douglas County, and I would imagine you're probably going to see others? What does that say about the governor's power to enforce this stay-home order, and that's led to 800,000+ Illinoisans seeking unemployment benefits?
Well, it gets tricky, Greg. It again leads to that uncertainty out there. I know Greg Minger well. He's the state's attorney in Woodford County. He's a friend of mine, does a very good job there. He is a very smart, conscientious state's attorney. But again, I think when you look at what he's doing and what others are doing in downstate Illinois, it's a reflection of people being frustrated. And I will tell you this, the people in Woodford County, a lot of them feel the same way. And again, this is something that I think the governor needs to take recognition of in the state of Illinois. I'm not sure he's done that yet. The other point that I would make is I've tried to tell the governor and his staff he needs to come downstate Illinois. For instance,
Please.
Governor Cuomo in New York, every one of his press conferences have been in Albany, the state capital, 3 hours from New York City. Coming downstate, I think, would do a world of good for the governor. Again, constructive recommendations to him. Come downstate to Peoria or Springfield or Bloomington or Quincy and talk to people. He has not done that. Everything has been Chicago-centric. I think that's been part of the problem also.
Well, and as a member of the press who's been relegated to asking only one question with limited ability to do follow-ups and having to push that question, either filtering through the governor's press secretary or filtering through a pool reporter, as a reporter who asks tough questions and won't settle for sidestep answers, it's very frustrating. And it's also frustrating for people seeking more transparency in this whole ordeal. Congressman, we've also got the issue of, as you mentioned, people are looking at more types of stimulus packages. What's going on with Congress? Are you guys going to head back and deal with maybe looking at giving money to Illinois for state and local pensions, or another type of stimulus package for small businesses? What's the latest you're hearing?
Well, again, I will go back to, I think the best stimulus package for the country is people working and getting a paycheck again. So we have to focus on that, continue to do that. We're not going to spend our way out of this. We have spent $3 trillion of taxpayer money. We've maxed. We're putting that money on the credit card for future generations. So this is not coming out of a rainy day fund. So let's see how that money gets spent. I will say this. I think the PPP program, the Paycheck Protection Program, has worked well to small businesses. It has been a lifeline to those restaurants and bars and to the landscaper and contractors and manufacturers, because obviously they've been forced to shut down. And so this helps them. But I think before we spend any more money, let's see how this money gets spent. Let's see how the reopening goes. We were supposed to go back, as you may know, Greg, last Monday. Nancy Pelosi canceled that. That's very frustrating. I think it's a bit hypocritical, Greg, that we are asking people that cut meat to go back to work. Farmers are planting their fields. Truck drivers are driving. Grocery store clerks are working. They're adapting. They're doing everything they need to in terms of social distancing, but yet we're staying at home. I went back to D.C. last Thursday and Friday. We voted on 2 different bills. There's a mechanism where we're exercising social distancing, the CDC guidelines. We know how to do it. Sitting at home, I don't think is the right approach. And I think we ought to be doing it. The other thing that I think we ought to have is remote voting. For times of emergency, we don't have that in place. I think it's antiquated that we don't have a system in place when every corporation or business has a way to remote vote with technology the way it is and the way that we've modernized many other things. It's ridiculous, and I put that on Nancy Pelosi.
All right, Congressman Darren LaHood, listen, thank you for your time. We